will be there the very next day.
Call anytime, 8 to 8, 8 days a week.
And Jerry Kelly will fix your furnace or install a new one the very next day.
JerryKelly.com.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. Now, the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Coming to you on a Tuesday. That means Bernie Miklasz is in the house. Bern is here. Chris Raji's here. I'm Tom Ackerman. John Kelly, the television voice of the Los Angeles Kings, is going to be with us here at 12:15. So we're going to get right into some baseball. We'll talk some hockey with him. Back to baseball. Lots to do with Bernie for the next hour. Bernie, news just popping here at the top of the hour. Was Jeff Passan's report that I saw that Kurt Suzuki has been hired as manager of the Angels. Now, we knew that Albert Pujols was no longer in discussions with the Angels. How about Artie Moreno? I mean, the wind blows a certain way, and he decides to change his mind, I guess. But the Padres tomorrow for him in terms of an interview. It looks like the Orioles are still in play, Bernie, for Albert?
Well, my people in Baltimore still think they prefer an experienced major league manager, although they're intrigued by Albert. So they haven't closed the door, but let's see. The Orioles are a lot more eccentric than they need to be with all the talent they have. There are times that people listen. My they're all Orioles fans. They can't figure the Orioles out. When things seem obvious, the Orioles do something different, and it's kind of like, what are they doing here? I think the Padres would be a very good fit for Albert if he's determined to manage in 2026. Listen, they're going to be losing a couple, 3 or 4 key pieces to free agency, but they have a really aggressive general manager who will make trades. He'll do a lot of things to try to improve the team. I'm sure he'll give him the leeway to hire his own coaching staff. And if he doesn't, then Albert ought to just say, well, no, thank you. But I think, there are players on that team, veteran leaders that have the utmost respect for Albert Pujols and would help make his job easier because he doesn't have to win anybody over there. So if he's going to manage in 2026, that would be the place.
Yeah, they're going to listen to him, aren't they?
You would think so, yeah. And it seemed like the Angels were a natural fit for him just because he is already on the payroll. He does work there. He's played there, so he knows the organization. But I would not discount the possibility they just didn't want that job. Maybe because they are also like, you're talking about Baltimore. They have also been a pretty confusing organization the way they've operated for 20 plus years. So maybe you just didn't want to be part of that.
But Baltimore's got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
The Angels have no plan. Their roster is like a one of these crossword puzzles you get out of the closet, and there's other puzzle pieces in there that don't belong to the puzzle. And then, the dog had gotten in there and chewed up, 25 puzzle pieces. I mean, it's just a total mess.
Yeah.
And no offense to you, Ron, because I know that personally you like the owner of the White Sox. And there's nothing wrong with that, right?
He's fine. He's fine.
All right.
I think they're run very poorly.
Yeah. If I had to say the 3 worst places to be if you're an aspiring young manager, you don't want to go to the White Sox. You don't want to go to the Angels. You certainly don't want to go to the Pirates. There's just, I thought all along, and I think you guys remember me saying this. If you're Albert Pujols, man, there's going to be so many opportunities. Do not get back in there with that madman owner who's just awful at what he does.
I totally agree. I totally agree. As you explore this position, Albert, be selective. I mean, go where you need to go to be most successful. And, Bernie, that Southern California area, the Angels sit there with the Dodgers and Padres, both in obviously a different league and same division, but they just dominate the market. And the Angels, like in all honesty, in Orange County, there just isn't that much of an appetite for them. I mean, that's the Dodgers town. That's the Lakers town. And the Dodgers are in the World Series again. I do in my gut believe that most of obviously Canada, but this country is rooting for the Blue Jays here to upend the Dodgers and to change things up a little bit. And by the way, I think that Blue Jays team can give them a series. They're the real deal. I mean, they don't mess around. It should be really, really fun starting on Friday, Bernie.
Yeah, they're going to have to hit home runs. I mean, that's fueled them this entire postseason. They don't put a lot of base hits together, walks together. They don't piecemeal an offense. It's power power driven, and they can do that. But some team, and there's only one team left that can do it, has got to do something to slow down that Dodgers starting pitching, because it has been utterly phenomenal this postseason. And no one has really laid a paw on any of those four guys. I mean, they just have dominated everybody. I mean, Ohtani, his first postseason start was kind of Other than that, you can't lay a mid on them. They're unbelievable. So that reason alone, I would give the Dodgers the edge, but I don't need that reason. I mean, they're the Dodgers. When you add up all the luxury tax, penalties and all that, they'll be around $500 million in payroll this year.
Yeah. And that's why I'm looking forward to talking to Maury Brown about this at 12:30, because there's already a great likelihood there's going to be a lockout. The owners are going to want a salary cap. And the argument we have seen made is that, well, if the Dodgers win, that just gives them more fuel to want the salary cap, that nobody can compete, because look at the Dodgers. They spend all this money. They have all these resources. So I'd like to know what his perspective is on that. If it's really true that if the Dodgers win, it makes the possibility of a lockout greater, and the argument that they make too much money and there should be a cap. I'd like to know what he thinks about that, because I don't think it makes that much of a difference, honestly. I think the owners are going to want the cap the same amount now as opposed to a week from now if the Dodgers are world champions.
Tom, can I throw a take in there about the Blue Jays?
Yeah, please.
Because I know you wanted to talk about them a little bit. I was watching this last night. I also was doing some studying. And if Cardinals fans want to look at someone, I always tell them that, look at the Brewers. And then, a lot of them, well, what have they won? Well, they've won a hell of a lot more than the Cardinals since 2018. So, but the Cardinals have to sort of set up that type of payroll situation, except higher. And they just have to be smarter, like the Brewers have been, about personnel, and develop more pitching, all that good stuff. But if Cardinals fans want to see maybe the best example of like what the Cardinals can do, because we've seen the Blue Jays do it, it's don't be afraid to rebuild. Get out of 500 land. Get out of 493 winning percentage land. The Blue Jays, they had that group with Bautista and all the Marcus Stroman, all those guys, and they were in the playoffs a lot, and they never could really get over the hump. They couldn't get a World Series. Then they started to slack off a little bit, and ownership decided, you know what, we've been putting this off for 20 some years. We're going to rebuild, because literally after winning their second World Series in '93, the Blue Jays went 20 years in a row without making the playoffs. Then they had a revival, but they couldn't quite get there, and then they started to recede again. They finally said, the heck with it. We have to rebuild. They began selling off parts. They pumped a lot of money into draft and development, the international signings, right, down in Dominican Republic or whatever. And they also built an organization where everyone is on the same page. Everyone's synced. Everyone's aligned. And the other thing that is really interesting to me about this, when I'm looking at parallels between the Cardinals and the Blue Jays, John Schneider he is a lifelong Blue Jay. They drafted him. He was a catcher in their system. He became a catching coach. He became a regular minor league coach. He became a minor league manager. He moved all the way up the chain, and finally major league coach. And the Blue Jays said, you know what? You know exactly what needs to be done. You know every player in this organization. You're exactly what we want to lead a rebuild. And he's there, and he's a good manager, and it worked. So that's why I look at John Schneider and I say, yet in St. Louis, where Ali Marmol fits that exact same profile, he's still viewed as some kind of outcast or something. Look at the Blue Jays as an example of how you can do this, and you don't have to hire a celebrity manager to do it. You hire one of your own who has paid the dues for 15, 16 years and who knows your organization inside out. You do it that way. It's okay to do it that way. You don't have to win the headlines, the press conference. Do what you think is best about rebuilding your team.
That's a really, really good point. I actually thought about that a little bit when I was watching Schneider being interviewed on the field yesterday, and how special that must have been for him. And I'll give you one more. They had an incredible run this year, capping off what has been a climb in fan experience, marketing, business operations, facilities. I mean, it has been amazing. You know who was involved in that? The guy the Cardinals just hired to do that exact same thing. Anook Karunaratne was part of all of that.
Yeah. I'm going to text him later and congratulate him, but also ask him if he sees similarities.
Mm-hmm.
What happened in Chicago, and that can be applied, not Chicago, Toronto, and applied to the Cardinals. Now, some fans will say, and rightfully so, well, wait a minute, though. The Blue Jays really pumped a lot of money into that team this year. They spent a lot of money, Bernie. You didn't talk about that. Oh, give me a chance. I'm talking about it now real quick. The Heim-Bloom plan with Bill DeWitt is when they get this thing up and running into the level where they think they can win, they're going to start to pump money into the Major League payroll, just like the Blue Jays have done. I guarantee that. So don't worry about that part, but this is not the time for that.
It is going to be a fun Friday. That place was rocking. I mean, you could just feel that noise coming out of the TV. It was unbelievable last night.
How about Max Scherzer?
I know. How about Don Mattingly going to the World Series for the first time ever? I mean, really a neat team to follow. Let me tell you, we have John Kelly. I cannot wait for him to join us here next. But first, Genesis of St. Charles, located at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway, is the spot to buy a car. I mean, the spot. They have a beautiful dealership there. First time I walked in, I said, now I understand why they were so excited about this, why they poured so much money and resources into this building. It is incredible. It was the first standalone Genesis dealership, the only one in the state of Missouri. It is the number one Genesis dealership in the state of Missouri. It is the place to buy a Genesis, a high-end vehicle at great value. You'll love their array of new vehicles. And right now, just for the month of October, 0% financing for up to 60 months. And this will expire on Halloween at the end of the month. So make sure you get in there or just start at genesisofstcharles.com. That's genesisofstcharles.com.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Nobody had to tell your grandparents not to drive while using their typewriters. Why should it be any different for us kids and our cell phones? Distracted driving was the cause of more than 3,000 deaths in 2022. Come on, we're smarter than this.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song, and all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We can guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Are you an HR manager, business owner, or leader looking to retain your best people? Nearly 1 in 4 employees is caring for an aging loved one, a challenge that often leads to distraction, absenteeism, and costly turnover. The CARES program from HSmart Community Resources connects your employees to expert caregiver support, helping them stay focused and productive at work. Discover how CARES can boost retention, improve ROI, and cut costs for your business. Visit hsmart.org or call 618-222-2561. Proudly serving 7 counties in Southwest Illinois.
For 25 years, the Warner's Warm-Up Coat Drive has been a dependable resource for impoverished men, women, and children in the bi-state. Together Credit Union is proud to team up with the Kurt Warner First Things First Foundation and Operation Food Search for the 25th Annual Warner's Warm-Up Coat Drive. From October 20th to November 2nd, new and gently used winter clothes of all sizes will be collected at all 14 Together Credit Union locations to help keep our neighbors warm during the cold winter months. For more information and a full list of donation locations, visit kurtwarner.org.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
1120 AM, 1041 FM, and streaming on the Odyssey app. KMOX is with you, however you listen, wherever you listen.
Pass across. Myers, a drive, and he fired wide, and the Blues should have a break here. They do. It's a 3-on-0. Unbelievable. Shan 3-on-0. Can he win it? They do! Schwartz on a 3-on-0! Now I've seen it all! I don't believe it!
Good one, Pajeski. I love that one. That's a great cut. It's one of JK's best. John Kelly joins us now with Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Gashouse Gang, the television voice of the Los Angeles Kings. John, great to have you back on the radio station. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Tom. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. 23 seasons calling Blues games, including a stint that began partly here on KMOX, having you on doing those games then and that great run. Let me ask you just up front, what is it like to be back here knowing that you'll be calling the game tonight for the Kings? What sort of emotions are running through you today?
Well, it's great to be back. Obviously, I got to sleep in my own bed last night and see my wife and kids who I haven't seen for a while. So that's number one. And, coming down to the rink this morning, seeing a lot of familiar faces and people that I've worked with and known for the last 21 years. It's great. So I have nothing but positive memories of my time here. And I'm looking forward to the game tonight, quite honestly.
JK, Bernie, first of all, great to talk to you. Number two, I'm not trying to start any trouble here. I'm just going to say, as a fan, I miss you. And that's not any reflection on anybody else. I miss JK. And so I speak for many in saying that. The second question I have is, what kind of surfboard did you buy out there?
I'm too old to surf, Bernie. You know that.
I don't know.
I do have a place about 3 miles from the beach. So my wife and I love walking down. It's called the Strand. And you can just walk or bike ride for miles out there. And, it's like 72 degrees every day and sunny. So it's a pretty cool place to walk the beach. So no surfboard for John Kelly. That's for sure.
Well, John, you did end up in a pretty good situation with an organization that has done a lot of winning. Has it been easier now to, I guess, sort of move past what happened here in St. Louis? Because we know it wasn't your decision to leave the Blues.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, I'm just going to silence my phone. As soon as that happened, I had the mindset of moving forward and thinking, of the great 21 years I had, number one. But number two, I wanted to continue to work. And the Kings job was the only job available. And I was very fortunate to get the job. And Luc Robitaille, the president, and other people who hired me, it was awesome. So, they're a classy organization, and they've had great success. Actually, you look at the Kings and the Blues in the history, they both, until they won cups, had a lot of really great teams and great players. Obviously, Gretzky played for both teams. The Kings won 2 cups, the Blues won. And now they're sort of both in not a rebuild, but the rebuild is over, and they're both ascending again. The Kings have averaged over, about 100 points the last 4 years. So I think there's a lot of similarities between the two teams and the two organizations. Of course, they both began together in 1967. As a matter of fact, on this date in 67, these two teams played for the first time ever, and I believe the game was a tie.
Huh. How about that? What's your view of the Blues? Now your opponent tonight, they got off to a bit of a rocky start at home, JK, but they bounced back with that win over Dallas.
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of teams sort of be a little bit inconsistent early on. The Blues, obviously, and they had two great road wins. The Kings have been very inconsistent. They just have the one win, but they have a couple of overtime losses. Even a team like Tampa Bay, a team that many felt was a cup contender again, and they still are. The Florida Panthers had a great start. Now they've struggled. So, I don't think you can really read too much into what a team does in the first couple of weeks of the season. But the danger is for teams that really struggle in the first month. You put yourself obviously behind the eight ball because, as we know, last year in the West, it took 96 points to get in the playoffs. So you don't want to have the struggles and inconsistencies of the first week or two to really drag on too long because you can get yourself in trouble.
John Kelly, what kind of the moves that Doug Armstrong has made the last couple of years, and he kept doing them again, this year, a somewhat controversial trade, trading Zachary Balduke to Montreal. But what do you think about the way he's kind of refitted this team the last couple of years on the fly and made them better without giving up a whole heck of a lot? When you think about Blues history, and you're certainly qualified, is Doug Armstrong going to be on the short list of the best hockey executives to lead this franchise?
Yeah, he is obviously on the very short list, if not the very best. I would consider obviously Scotty Bowman right up there, and the job that Emil Francis did for years, and a lot of time when Mr. Francis was with the Blues. They had a lot of challenging issues with the ownership. And then Larry Plow came in and stabilized things for a long time. But, the thing I like about, Doug and what he has done in his tenure with the Blues, 13, 14 years now, is he's aggressive. And he was aggressive a couple of summers ago when he got Broberg and Holloway. And to me, that move there and those moves, the double offer sheets, that really jump-started the Blues revitalization, if you want to call it. I think it sped up the process by a year or two. And then, as you mentioned, they make that trade. And, I know Bolduc's had a good start with the Canadiens, and I like him, and I think he's going to be 20, 30 goal scorer every year. But defensemen take longer to develop, and Mayu has not played in many games. So, a trade like that, you ask me in 5 years what I think of that trade. And who knows? It could be a slam dunk for the Canadians, or it could be an even deal, or whatever. But you can't judge a trade, obviously, when it's just in its infancy, obviously. So, but I think that overall, Doug has been very aggressive, and I think obviously he's one of the top GMs in the NHL.
John, we expect that there will be a tribute for you at the at Enterprise Center tonight. We don't know exactly what that will look like, but we know there's going to be one. What have you heard from Blues fans since the move?
Well, from fans, I was in town until mid-September. My wife and I then, drove out to LA and got our place and stuff like that. So, the fans have been so nice and on social media, and what can I say? I appreciate that. I mean, I think anyone that does a job, any job, but people who do jobs that are in the public eye, obviously you want to be liked. And, as an announcer, I try to be professional and do the best job I can. But first and foremost, I want people to enjoy my work. So hopefully people did enjoy my work over 21 years. And I always tried to be as cordial and nice and down to earth to every fan I met. So it's been nothing but, I guess, respect. And I've certainly appreciated all the fans that have voiced their opinion on social media or I've met in person. It means a lot.
Well, you are loved. There's no doubt about it. You'll be feeling that tonight, I'm sure, from so many people in the crowd, up in the press area, in the booth. And our best to you, John. Have a great call tonight, and we'll see you back here on January 24th when the Kings return to Enterprise Center.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Great to have the television voice of the LA Kings, John Kelly, with us on KMOX's Gashouse Gang. Kings and Blues tonight, 7 o'clock at Enterprise Center. We'll take a quick break, but first, Chris Ranji, tell us about FanDuel.
FanDuel, man, oh man. FanDuel is going to be live to use in the state of Missouri, Tom, and it's soon, very, very soon, just over a month from now, December 1st. You can live bet, and you can just bet in general on all your favorite sports because FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. And in the state of Missouri, it's going to be legal. Like I said, December 1st. Great time, too. Football, basketball, hockey, all of it's ongoing, and all kinds of ways you can get in on that action, like betting money line or team totals, or if you want to look to the future, like MVP or whoever's going to win the championship, you can place those bets too with FanDuel. And they've got live betting. As I mentioned, you can pick the player you think is going to score the next touchdown or the next goal or the one after that. It's really fun and easy to do with FanDuel. So you can right now go to FanDuel.com/Missouri to download the app, and that'll give you some time to get familiar with it, learn how to use it. And then once December rolls around, it'll be good to go and live to use. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, play your game. 21 and over and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey guys, Dave Glover here for the Dave Glover Show. So, what is my show? My show is 4 different people living 4 different lives, all coming together every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. to talk about life, actual life, not so much headlines or did you see what Trump did today or XYZ. Never predictable because I never know what I'm going to talk about from one segment to the next. So it truly is unique and unpredictable. Join us.
104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hey guys, Dave Glover here. As many of you know, I volunteer with Bethesda Hospice. But did you know the other ways Bethesda serves our area seniors? Located in Webster Groves, Pacific Place is not like other retirement communities with just 30 apartments. It's attached to Big Sky Cafe and is walking distance to the shops in Old Orchard. The residents are vibrant and active, and the ones I met love the comfort of the small boutique setting. Go to BethesdaHealth.org to learn more about Pacific Place or any of the Bethesda senior living communities.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
This is what I'm talking about. 64 degrees and sunny in St. Louis. We are already at the high for today. Let's go.
DEA's National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. Learn more at DEATakeback.com.
Help keep our community safe and healthy during National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, October 25th. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent drug misuse before it starts.
This is Kyle Bush with Krinz Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we've helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. How many times have you changed jobs over the years? If you're like many professionals, you may have left behind one or more 401ks. Unwatched, unmanaged, and potentially your largest retirement asset. Just because it's out of sight doesn't mean it should be out of mind. Let's make sure it's working as hard for your future as you are. Your goals, our mission, start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Servicing. Member FINRA/SIPC. Krinz Financial Group is our broker dealer.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband, the internet provider in the Pauley household. I think you'd love it if you had them as well. We've got the 2 gig package at our home. 2 gig upload, 2 gig download mirrored, and we're spending less money than we did with the cable company for lesser service. Plus, right now, they've got savings over $400 beyond their already low standard pricing. You got questions? They've got answers. Call 877-976-0711, and they've got people there who can answer all your questions, or head to their website, i3broadband.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Fridays mean football. From the zoo to the NFL, we've got your weekend covered.
R3, ready?
It's Friday football on KMOX.
Ohtani, did he? Ohtani! Ohtani has done it again! His 3rd home run!
Shohei Ohtani, Game 4 of the NLCS. And that was one of the great performances of all time. 3 home runs, 6 scoreless innings, 10 Ks, incredible. I mean, maybe Bob Gibson, game 1 of the 1968 World Series, if you want to go greatest World Series performances of all time. Of course, Reggie Jackson, but this guy hits 3 home runs, then pitches like he did. The Dodgers get the win. They sweep the series. Are they unstoppable? Are they paying to win? Let's join Maury Brown with Bernie Miklasz and Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman, Maury, senior contributor to Forbes. It's great to have you on the Gashouse Gang. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, does this change the game? Are we looking at a game changer in baseball? If the Dodgers win this thing, does this provide an incentive for everybody else just to throw down as much money as possible? Is that how they built themselves? What are your thoughts on what the Dodgers have done to get to this point?
Well, I think we got to go back and look at all the teams that made the playoffs to start with before we get to the Dodgers. Because if you look at that, there's pretty wide payroll distribution. I mean, the Brewers, right, are ranked toward the bottom, right, along with the Guardians. The Mariners were ranked in the middle. They were ranked 15th. The Tigers were 16th. And so I think you have to look at it how the brackets lined up. I think that the one spot where you could have had a potential for, if you want to use a better term, Goliath in the Dodgers, or, you know, the Death Star, however you want to portray them, would have been that matchup with the Phillies. But otherwise, it was pretty widely distributed. But right now, I think they're going to be very tough to beat. And I think a lot of that has to do with the system that's in place. I don't know if a salary cap is the solution, but there definitely needs to be some adjustments.
Maury, Bernie Miklasz, really great to have you on. And, you know, you've done such great work for a long time. So much respect to you. Yeah, about the salary cap. Listen, I admit this. I have mixed feelings about it. I really do. But I also see what a salary cap has done in particular in the NFL. It's been great for all parties, or so it seems. So it's not like it's a blasphemous idea, but I kind of understand where the players are coming from too. But the question I have for you, is there any chance that the owners will get that salary cap? And if they do, will some players, let's call it the middle class, will they realize that maybe that'll mean it'll be easier for them to get contracts? The money won't, so much of the money will not be directed to the most elite players. Just talk us through that, the way you see it.
Yeah, first of all, I don't think it changes much of anything. Baseball's design is completely different than football or basketball, where a skill player can really change game outcome all the time. Baseball's design, certainly, you know, with a batter up, let's say, every inning and a half, pitchers up every 4th day. It's just a completely different model in terms of how the games are designed. Would it create more in the middle class? Maybe. You know, I think that maybe that's it in terms of the upside to it. But I don't see it doing what I think a lot of people think, which is, oh, now the Pirates or the A's or the Rays are suddenly going to be competitive because we have a cap system in place. I think it would maybe possibly alter what happens towards some of the top. Your Phillies, right? The Blue Jays are another one. We're ranked number 5. You know, the Phillies at number 4. Yankees, the usual suspects that you would expect that spend higher would maybe have a greater advantage to. But look, guys, I mean, it's not like parity has been a problem in baseball. We have this discussion because it doesn't have a cap system. And therefore, when we see dominance at a certain level, we want to go ahead and put it at that. But baseball has had the best parity out of it all. And I don't think that it solves it. I think, to your larger question, will it happen? Absolutely not. I just don't see it happening. I think that what you're going to see is they'll try. I think that they'll honestly try, and we could potentially lose regular season games. But I think what you're going to get to see is, again, further tweaking of the system that we have. Because remember, guys, we have revenue sharing right now. I mean, that money that goes over the top, some of it goes to the players, but the system is shifted to where those luxury tax penalties, they go back down to those clubs that have not made the playoffs. So we have a form of revenue sharing there. Increased revenue sharing would help. And I think that deferred compensation is maybe the biggest player nobody's talking about here with the situation with the Dodgers. That allowed the Shohei Ohtani contract to go through at such a large volume, and that allowed flexibility for them to do some of their other signings that they've had, which make them a juggernaut. I mean, their pitching is largely what's going to win it for them, I think, over the Blue Jays.
Speaking of that revenue sharing, how bad is the situation where you have teams that get the revenue sharing money but don't really reallocate that toward the payroll?
Yeah, I think this is the bigger problem. I have always thought that this was the bigger problem. Call it welfare or however you want to frame it. There are teams that are not trying. So again, the Seattle Mariners are one game away from doing it. And right, they had the lead up until, a really dramatic home run by George Springer, right? So they are the 15th ranked payroll in baseball. In other words, the middle class, was right there on the edge of being able to go to the World Series. So it's not like teams at the bottom have to spend like the Yankees or the Dodgers and the Mets. They do need to try. And again, I understand that there are certain constraints around certain markets, but there should be an ability for them to have windows, not to laggard around the bottom. You either are smart in your development and you wisely go out and augment with some very, key free agent signings, or you go out and spend. You can't have this thing both ways. You should be able to develop. We've seen this clearly with the Brewers. We've seen it with the Guardians. We've seen it with the Rays for many, many years. It's absolutely doable. So for teams like the Pirates and the A's that just say, woe is me, and throw their hands up in the air, I just think that that's an unacceptable answer.
Maury Brown is a senior contributor to Forbes. Let me ask you about the Cardinals situation. How do you assess what they are going through right now in the road back to success?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a down cycle that no fan wants to see. If I was to look back over the last 20 years and I was going to say what is a model for a well-run organization, it is the St. Louis Cardinals. I think people forget that the Houston Astros based their entire structure around what the Cardinals had done. And so, look, I mean, it's bad, guys. I mean, there's no way to portray what's happened recently. There's every reason to believe that they should be able to cycle back up. And in talking to Rob Manfred and others in the league, they see a case in which all teams, should have windows of 5 years up and potentially cycle back down and rotate up and out, right? You just can't be competitive 100% of the time. Then, your parity model goes completely out the window. You want to have teams cycle up and down. I know fans and markets don't want to hear that. They want them to always win. But if you can get to that, then that makes sense. I think that the Cardinals are going to cycle back up. It's clear from some of the comments by ownership, looking at how attendance has dropped so dramatically, that they need to do something. And so, you got to take that as a positive. Given the history of the club and how they've done, I just don't see them hanging around in this position for too much longer, if at all past next season.
Mari, I wanted to ask you about this. I've talked to Bill DeWitt about this a lot. He thinks the thing that they got away from that they have to do now, and you'll agree with it because you watched and covered all those teams. Basically, they used to be masterful at developing their own starting pitching, and that just fell apart. And they're out there the last 4 or 5 years, like scrambling like crazy just to find a rotation to put together. In that context, Chaim Bloom's draft and development background in Tampa Bay, and even the way he did a superb job with that Red Sox farm system, in your opinion, for what the Cardinals need to do now, is he a good fit?
Yeah, I mean, people are going to look at what happened with the Red Sox and say it was a disaster. I think that it's a completely different model. I think that Chaim probably fits better within the context of what the Cardinals are about, the market, where things are at, and looking closely at the development side of things. Would he be bad? I don't think so. There are worse options out there. But again, St. Louis is an interesting market in the sense that it's small, but it's maybe the most dedicated fan base. So revenues are a little bit better than some. But yeah, I mean, that is the core thing. I mean, going back to the playoffs here, if you look at what the Mariners have done, they really laid heavily into pitcher development. And that gives you a lot of flexibility, mostly because you guys know pitchers are a premium. So if you can develop them and you get a number of them, they make great trade pieces. If you develop them, then it allows you to, go out and be careful in free agency and do what you can around that, or be able to wrap these guys up if they go through because they're during club control. So yeah, in every instance, you're going to want to go ahead and obviously you want to be measured across both sides of the plate. But obviously pitching, I think, is a core thing that has to happen for every club.
Last thing, which I have for you, Maury, and this is not Major League Baseball related, but the Savannah Bananas are coming back to Busch Stadium in August of next year. And Greg Bettinelli is a venture capitalist. And it was last week, I believe, he was doing some sort of seminar, and he said he believes that franchise could be a $100 billion franchise, and that they will not take any venture capital money, apparently, at least not yet. Do you think they could reach that point? It seems like an outrageous number.
Yeah, I don't know if that number in and of itself, right? I mean, look, like total investment for where they're at, how much more upside do they have? Look, it's a novelty. People that get down on it when they try and compare it to Major League Baseball, I look at them more like the Harlem Globetrotters, only much more successful. So, I mean, I think that it is possible in terms of getting into the multi-billion dollars. I don't know if $100 billion is where it's going to be at. And I don't know how much further this thing can go higher. I think they've largely, maybe other than a world tour, right? They're an event-driven thing. They're going to go ahead and continue to sell out and do large crowds. And I think that they can make an awful lot of money that way. But again, I think that, other than maybe doing franchises in other countries and whatnot, maybe that's how you build it out and get it to that $100 billion number. But as they stand right now, domestically in the U.S., I think, they're going to start to run out of runway. It's a heck of a success story. Kudos to them. They focus completely on the customer experience. They spend so much time on that. And I think that in some ways, focusing on the customer is something that Major League Baseball could learn from.
I do. I agree with you. I think it's a lot you can learn from that, no doubt. Maury Brown, senior contributor to Forbes, really good insight today. Appreciate your contribution on the Gashouse Gang.
All right, guys, you take care. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. You can follow him, Bizball Maury, on X and on other social media channels. Now we're going to turn our attention to Bernie Miklas, who's sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer. Bernie, tell us about Saliga.
You got it. I'm proud to represent Saliga Heating and Cooling, and there's a lot of reasons. First of all, I just respect this family. I come from a family that had a business where the kids worked at it, the grandkids worked at it. I helped run my grandparents' business for 5 or 6 years as a young man. And I know what it means when the family name is on that big sign above the top of the building where the business is, or where, if you have a van and you're delivering stuff, your name's on the panel of that van. I know exactly what that's like. It means more because it's your family name and your reputation. So when you hear that name Saliga, please understand that this is what they've been doing since 1927, the same family. And they are utterly determined. Every time they answer the phone and someone's got a problem, they are utterly determined to maintain the highest possible standards that family has set for heating and cooling since 1927. You're going to get their best work because everybody has since 1927. How's that for credibility, right? How's that for a name and a business you can trust and that you can count on? And that we'll be highly professional. They'll be classy in your home. In our experience for the last 17 years, they have never once tried to talk us into something, never tried to upsell, never tried to steer us towards the most expensive solution to a problem. Saliga Heating and Cooling, this Daikin Comfort dealer, it's been the exact opposite. They always look for the least expensive solution first. And they have actually told us, no, you don't need a new boiler. You got another 2 years with this one. We'll do a couple minor repairs and then we'll keep checking on it. You don't need to spend the money on a boiler. Now, who does that anymore in business, right? That's why we love and trust Saliga Heating and Cooling. And one other thing, they have a priority club, which is a maintenance program. It'll save you money by extending the life of your current equipment. You'll also get priority scheduling and some other perks. I can't say enough great things about Saliga Heating and Cooling, and I want you to try them. If you don't know who to call, you call Saliga Heating and Cooling at 314-481-7333 or visit SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Red Kingdom is back at FanDuel Sports Network Live in Ballpark Village. See every game on the largest screen in town. Don't forget about the $25 buckets, $5 cocktails, and the best tailgate food around. Grab your friends along with KMOX and huddle up for the games at the best watch party in town. If you can't make it, but don't want to miss it down, listen to the Chiefs on KMOX or KMOX on the Odyssey app. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/life.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need.
Disclaimer, an antivirus is just half protection online. It will not protect you from snoopers or encrypt your traffic. So get better online protection with NordVPN. NordVPN will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. Save 77% on NordVPN and get 3 extra months.
When life happens and you need to sell your St. Louis area home, call trusted realtor Gloria Liu with your home sold guaranteed realty. Gloria is St. Louis's real estate expert with more than 22 years of experience and expertise, helping you sell quickly and for the most money.
Selling your home can be so stressful, especially when life happens, like a sudden job change, a passing of a loved one, or a growing family. Knowing exactly how much your home will sell in today's market is the first step. Then I back it up with an upfront written guarantee. My guarantee is simple and easy to understand. If I can't sell your home at our agreed upon price and time frame, I'll buy it myself.
When life happens, the name to remember is Gloria Liu, your home sold guaranteed realty. I strongly suggest you call her right now at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State. New Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. And when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings you everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Well, the Seattle Mariners, that was a tough one for them, losing to the Blue Jays. Bernie, I want to throw it back to you before we wrap up here. What can you learn if you're the Cardinals? What else can you learn from this entire postseason experience? I mean, the Mariners, as mentioned in that last interview, did get there by piling up pitching depth. I think that's one of the first things Chaim Bloom has to do, don't you?
There's no doubt about it. One of the comforting things about watching Seattle's, their run to Game 7 of the championship series and watching them all season, they committed to building a core rotation of really young, talented arms, and they stuck with it. And that's exactly what they have. And it takes them a long way. And I want to point out that one of the first people that the Cardinals hired when Chaim Bloom hired Rob Cerfolio, he then hired Matt Pierpont as the Cardinals' new director of pitching. And Matt Pierpont was a guy who was central to the development of all of that really outstanding young starting pitching in Seattle. So the Cardinals already have learned, and they are going to try to follow the Seattle model. And that's a wonderful sign. And if you can permit me to something, I wrote about it late yesterday afternoon. When the Cardinals were really, really great, and they were at their best in terms of young starting pitching from 2009 through 2022, right? Over that time, they were third in regular season winning percentage, fifth in postseason wins, got to the playoffs 10 times. Over that time, they had the third best starting pitching ERA in the majors for 14 years. And they were second in quality starts and all these other stats. They had a great starting staff for 14 years. I did the research on this. 61% of the games started over those 14 years were by pitchers that made their major league debut for the Cardinals. They were drafted, developed by the Cardinals, signed by the Cardinals as like an international free agent like Carlos Martinez, or the Cardinals acquired them when they were very, very young from other organizations like Adam Wainwright. But all 30, I think it's 32 of those young pitchers that they developed on their own, every single one of them made their major league debut as Cardinals. 61% of the starts made over 14 years. Now, if that doesn't convince Cardinals fans and everybody else that this is the way to go, instead of having to go out every winter and scramble to put together a mediocre starting rotation, I don't know what to tell people who would say, well, I don't think that's the way to go. Of course it's the way to go. The Cardinals got away from it and they fell apart because of it. Now they got to go back to what they used to do best. And Bloom and his people are committed to that, and they're working on it already.
I think my overall feeling about what they do next is people need to be patient and let them tear it down as much as they can before they build it back up. And I don't think that's going to be the plan, but it works. We've seen other organizations do it and do it well. Astros did it. The Cubs did it. A lot of teams go that route. And there's going to be some pain here, and I think we just need to be aware of that.
We will be all over it here on the Gashouse Gang from start to who knows how it finishes. Bernie Nicholas's appearance is sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer. Thanks, big man. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ranj. Thank you, Matt Pajeski, Frank Ladd, our guest, Maury Brown, and John Kelly. Have a great call tonight. I'm Tom Ackerman. We say so long from Studio B.